Welcome back to Alley Cat Paint and Design. I've been thinking about this project, and I think I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the letters like I described. I'm going to put a little bit of extra detail on the water droplets. I think beyond that, I think I'm just going to leave it. So let's get started with the outlining, and then when I get down here, I'll worry about the droplets and then finish the outlining. Sound good? Let's get started. As I've said before, I start with the background and work my way forward, typically. That way when I get to the face here, I can cover up areas where I make little mistakes, kind of go over. So keep that in mind. Also, sometimes when you start off painting, since you haven't painted in a while, your brush might be a bit rigid. That's why I dipped a lot of the brush in the paint way up into here to try and kind of soften it up, and it still didn't work. So use a paper towel. Sometimes you might even need to wipe off the excess, and then sometimes you might even need to stick it in some thinner, let it soften a little bit, clean the thinner out. That way you can get the brush pliable, ready for use. Sometimes I take my politician card and I keep it handy. Once I've used the brush a little bit, the paint thickens a little, kind of makes it hard to keep it to a good point. So I kind of rub it on the campaign card, and that allows it to come to a finer point. Might even just need to run it through some thinner. Now what I'm going to do is clean the brush out just a little bit. One thing I haven't said, when you've seen me working here and I've got my project close by, when I'm mixing paints and things like that, it's not really a good idea. I've kind of got a congested area here with all my projects I've kind of got around me and all my other things that are kind of in the way, so I don't really have a lot of room to move. However, I've noticed in the past when I am working on a project and I kind of get in a hurry, I've got too much stuff around me, I got stuff kind of in the way, I will unintentionally be doing something and spill stuff or smear stuff or on my project. So keep this area that you're working in as clear as possible. Now you didn't see me stir my paints because I did that before I even turned the camera on. You don't need to see me stir paint. So anyway, we move on here to white. This is to add just a little bit of accents to our drops. Not a big deal. I'm going to just kind of add it on to that light blue and probably come in here and add a few drops. Not that anybody's going to probably see that, but definitely going to keep those things handy because I've got a lot of outlining to do, so probably halfway through I will clean out my brush with some thinner. The whole idea is to keep the brush pliable and soft so that you can make turns and curves. When I go back partly through and clean it out with a touch of thinner, I'm not looking actually to completely clean the brush. I'm still using black. Just trying to get some of the thicker stuff out, the stuff that's already started to solidify, make it a little harder to use the brush. Once that's kind of out, we're back into smooth use. Definitely not going for perfection because I don't do letters and numbers, things like this real well, because depending on how you push down, you'll have thin lines that'll get thicker at times because you're inconsistent. You'll have wavy lines, and I know I've got some wavy lines here, there's no doubt about it. And it just takes practice, practice, practice. Making straight lines, consistent lines is not easy. So it just takes practice, practice, practice. You might be able to see this here on camera, maybe you can't, but I did not do very well because I was not paying attention to where I was going. One thing I've learned a long time ago, when you're painting, You're not looking at what's at the tip, you're looking at where you are going. So I'm not looking here, I'm looking ahead. I'm over here as I'm painting and moving around. Where your eyes go, your hand will follow. So you find out what works for you. I know that's what works for me. And in this particular spot right here on the E, I was not looking at where I was supposed to be looking, and I started to veer off of where I was supposed to be. Well, there we go. I'm going to say that's done. For a simple well water sign, I think it's going to suffice. I'm not worried about any of the little defects and imperfections. I think it's going to be just fine. Thanks for watching. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you pick some stuff up. Practice, practice, practice. Keep your brush clean. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you.